guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, where all of our videos all go up, it goes on our YouTube channel there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You can drop us a comment.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Do all the YouTube-y kind of stuff that you're supposed to do on there. If you're listening to this
stuff.
I invented words, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure no one's ever said that before. But anyway, or probably should, maybe not.
Yeah.
If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, make sure you go on there, leave us a review. I enjoy reading the reviews. So,
and I enjoy having Nick read me the reviews.
Yeah, because Ian does not go on there. Ian probably didn't even know until 30 seconds ago that we had reviews.
No, because we talked about it in the last episode.
Oh, that's right. I did read the one review we do have. I did read on the previous episode.
With the last episode, I was like, oh wow, we got reviews.
Yeah, there you go. It was a little delayed.
It's old news now.
It's old news now. But what's going on? What's been going on there, Ian? Nothing.
No.
Ooh. So we are in the middle of a big snowstorm. Yes, there was just lightning outside.
Yeah, I just saw it too. And we're like, I don't know how many miles apart we are right now. I heard thunder just too.
Yeah, thunder. I just heard that too. That's odd during a snowstorm.
The ice storm we had a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I saw lightning and thunder in that. I also saw a bunch of transformers in the distance blowing up. But
you mean like Megatron and like?
No, the electrical boxes.
They were like fighting up in space and blowing up.
Are you kidding? That would have been fantastic. It would have to be at least slightly better than the movies.
Oh my God, it's Bumblebee. I mean,
well, it would have been better than the movies.
By the way, that's my extent of knowledge for Transformers.
Right. I would love if that was actually happening. I would actually go see that.
Yeah. Wait, is it Optimus Prime? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but I can't say the same thing about Transformers movies.
Yeah,
because they are not good.
Yeah. Well, the first one's watchable.
Okay. Watchable.
Yeah.
After that, they're just like, I don't know. We'll see how the new Beast Wars movie is, but I don't know.
Oh,
I haven't actually even watched one. I haven't even watched any of them since the third one.
Yeah. I'll watch it whenever it's on streaming. I'll check it out, but yeah, I don't have high expectations for sure.
The third one made my asshole bleed watching it.
Whoa! What you do on a Saturday night is completely between you and
that Saturday night I was watching
and whoever's piling up in you.
That night it was Michael Bay.
Oh, did Michael Bay know about that?
Well, he must have. He made the fucking movie.
So nothing else is going on. So by the time this comes out, so this will be out. I probably gotta look at my calendar here. This episode will be out on the 12th. Yeah,
I guess
this is our March 12th episode. So
we record in bundles, just for those of you out there.
Just so we know, yeah, because we have like every other weekend off, so we don't have a whole. We can't record every week, but
no. So
it'll be the 12th by the time this comes out. So I'm actually going to go see my first concert of 2023 on this coming Tuesday. So when this comes out, it's like 5 days ago. But I've got a bunch of concerts scheduled for this year. I don't think anything. I think I finally like caught up on everything that got postponed during the pandemic.
The last one, yeah, it was Roger Waters. That was the last one you had postponed, wasn't it?
No. The last one I had postponed was My Chemical Romance, which I was in September or October last year. But I think after that, I was finally like caught up on everything from, pandemic wise. But there's a bunch of shit. I've got, I think 5 or 6 concerts I'm going to this year. Mm-hmm. And Mod Sun is the first one, which that's at St. Andrews Hall out in Detroit, nice. Which is it's a great venue. It's just it's really kind of a small venue. I don't know how many thousands of people they can fit in there, maybe 2,000 or 3,000
at most. Yeah,
it's but it's all general admission. So Mandy's got to work because Mandy's going with me to go see him. She's probably not all that thrilled to be packed into a small venue with lots of people, but we'll see. I'm sure
Yeah, I
it'll
was
be
just gonna
a good
say
show.
I think, and I know this isn't a standard answer or standard thing, but I just feel I'm too old for crowds. I can't deal with them anymore. I will if Jethro Tull comes to town again. I'll go see them because it'll most likely be the very last time I get to see them. I don't think that'll happen, but if they do, I'll come. And the only other show I will go see, like willingly go see, because they're on my bucket list of bands. If they're the last one on my bucket list, really, is Counting Crows.
Yeah.
So if Counting Crows comes to Detroit, I will go see them as long as they're not at like Little Caesars or Comerica. It's just not a
Little
good
Caesars
venue.
Arena is not a bad place for a
I
show.
want to see them in a
Ford
theater.
Field, I'll be at the Taylor Swift show at Ford Field. Ford Field is so fucking big. It's got to be a terrible place for
Right.
acoustics, but we're close to
I
the stage, so
I don't remember what year it was. It was, I don't know, maybe 2016. I don't remember. I went and saw the Black Keys and the Arctic Monkeys at Joe Louis,
yeah,
and it was just, I don't know. The acoustics are just terrible, and
yeah.
those big arenas. It's just they're. I get
I will
it, but
say,
it's not really built
that
for
that was the great thing about the Palace of Auburn Hills is
it.
the acoustics were really good in that place.
Really,
There's
I
a
never saw anybody there.
no, you never went to any concerts. I went to a lot of
No.
concerts there.
Actually, to be honest with you, I don't think I was ever at the Palace for anything. I don't think
Really?
I ever saw anything at the Palace. Yeah,
Uh,
because I never went to a basketball game.
well, they did other stuff there too,
I
but
know, but if I didn't see any bands there, and
yeah,
if I never went and saw basketball, I wouldn't see them.
the Cure is releasing. I don't remember the name of the album is. I think it's just called Show for Record Store Day, and
Uh-huh.
it's a. I'm hoping they do it a regular standard pressing of it, but what they're releasing for Record Store Day is a picture disc, but
Right.
it's a concert from 1992 at the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Hmm.
So I'm sure, like I said, I thought the acoustics in that place were great, even for being, a 20,000 seat arena. I saw. I mean, off the top of my head, I could think probably at least 5 or 6 concerts I saw there,
Yeah.
and they're all fantastic. They're
Hmm.
all fantastic. Even like
Yeah.
I saw Aerosmith there in like 97 or 98, and we were like in the nosebleeds in the opposite corner of the stage, and it still sounded great. It was still a great sounding show. I'd like watch them on the video screen next to
Right.
the
Right.
stage, but
As a rule, though, stadiums like that just aren't. They're not
yeah,
built for acoustics.
yeah,
I mean, they can get a good recording out of it because it's all going through the decks and stuff.
yeah.
But
It's going through a soundboard.
the soundboard, yeah.
Yeah,
But as a rule, as a concert goer, I mean, you're really there more for the experience, and I'm just too old to care about the experience. I'm there to hear the
yeah.
music. So
Seeing it,
if Counting Crows are at one of those venues, I'll just,
yeah.
there's a million other bucket list things I'm going to die without doing. It's not that big of a deal.
There's a lot of bands I'd love to see. I'd love to see Counting Crows. I'd love to see Pearl Jam. I'd love to
Yeah, Pearl
see.
Jam's another one I might consider, depending on where they're at.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Pretty Reckless. I'd like to see Greta Van Fleet play. I've
Yeah,
heard their live shows are incredible. Their live shows here in
probably.
Michigan,
Yeah,
because they're a local band, fucking sell out in minutes though. So
right. And they do stadiums, aren't they? They're doing the stadium scene right now. I mean, they're big enough. They're
yeah,
not
but
doing
they're doing like
Fox Theater.
smaller. They're doing like smaller stadiums,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
15 to
still
20,000. They're not doing like big, like Ford
Little
Field's a
Caesars
70,000 or 65,000 seat
Theater.
arena. I mean, that's
Mm.
huge.
What about Little Caesar?
Little Caesars Arena, I think, is 20. LCA is
Oh,
20. And I thought the acoustics at LCA weren't that bad. Mandy and the kids went and saw, they Panic at the Disco there, and she didn't like the acoustics of the place. But I saw
yeah.
Roger Waters there. I thought the
It,
Roger Waters show was fantastic.
and to be fair, it also depends on who's doing the sound system
Yes and
because
no. I think
you know
all probably has more to do with actually where you're sitting in the arena.
perhaps, but I saw Motley Crue and Alice Cooper in 2014 at Pine Knot. They had lawn seats,
Yeah,
Alice came out, he
Pine
was
Knob is
fine.
an outdoor arena for anyone that doesn't know.
It's not, yeah, pavilion. But we had lawn, and Alice Cooper sounded fine. The acoustics were good because I've seen plenty of shows at Pine Knob anyway. Um, he sounded fine. But when Motley Crue came on, they sounded like shit, and you couldn't tell if it was them or the sound. It was just whoever was running their sound mixing and stuff. It was just it was terrible.
Yeah,
I didn't stay. I got up and walked to the front of the. I could actually make out more of the music up front because it was being
yeah.
filtered out. So,
I will say
so
that
I
Pine
guess
Knob,
that'll play a part in it
yeah, Pine
too.
Knob is a huge venue though. Pine Knob is a 15,000 seat venue.
The pavilion doesn't seat that many people.
The
They
pavilion, I
count
just looked it up. The
they count
pavilion,
the lawn,
yeah, pavilion seats 7,000,
right?
and then 8,000 on the lawn.
Right.
Yeah,
That sounds right. And again, I saw Alice Cooper again there. It was him. He was the headliner, and he had Ace Frehley opening up for him, which I didn't care because I'm not a Kiss fan,
yeah,
but um, Alice sounded fine. But I did have pavilion seats, but I wasn't terribly far from the stage. Uh, but yeah, Alice sounded fine that night.
yeah.
Because like
Yeah,
I said,
Pine Knob, I've seen a bunch of great shows at Pine Knob though.
yeah, yeah.
The acoustic. I
And
mean,
I've
it's
seen
outside, so the acoustics aren't ever going to be, great
great.
there. But
Yeah, they're not going to be
I'm
theater.
actually seeing Ghost there this summer.
Yeah, and I do
So it should be
like
a good show.
I mean I've liked Ghosts, for a long time now, well, a
Yeah,
while anyway. Um, and I guess if I was just seeing them, I don't want to see as Amar or a Roth or whatever. I listen to some of their music. It is not
yeah,
my kind of. It's
no,
growly. It's
yeah.
growly metal.
The funny thing is about Ghost. I don't know if you ever seen interviews with Tobias Forge.
Yeah, yeah, tons of them. He looks
So
nothing
on,
like what you'd imagine.
no, actually, you know what he looks like? He looks like a fucking Sunday school teacher,
Kinda,
which is
kinda.
funny because on stage he's the opposite of that.
Right.
I saw an interview with
Well,
him where he was just talking about you know some music that he loves. He was like sitting there like picking away on his guitar. Seems like a really cool guy, but
yeah, yeah. His very first band was actually a punk band,
yeah,
and I think he played bass in it. I think he was the bass player in the punk band.
that makes sense. Never trust
Yeah.
bass players.
Oh, is that what it
Never,
is?
never.
Well, I don't
my
trust you,
my
so
bass is hanging on the wall over here.
I don't trust you, but I'm not really
Yeah,
sure if the bass has anything to do with it.
big goofy bass players. That's what they say.
Yeah,
He
yeah, I
he's
don't know.
he's a small guy though, but no, he
He's a
from the
small guy.
interviews I've seen him do. First off, like I don't know, he from Sweden? Like because he sounds like he's from the fucking U.S.
His accent is really not present.
He has like
But yes,
no accent,
yeah,
which I was really
I
kind of
believe
surprised by.
I can't remember if it was Sweden or Denmark that he was born. Let's see. Let's
He's
find
from
out.
Sweden.
Sweden. So yeah.
He was born in Sweden.
So, but yeah,
Yeah,
his accent is not very
he's got
thick.
like no accent. I don't know. That was like the first time I saw him do an interview. I was kind of a little surprised by that, but it's not what we're here to talk about. Like I don't know how
No,
we got
no.
sidetracked off onto that. I will
I
say I
mean,
would do.
one of his albums, one of the Ghost albums, comes close to fitting into our art
Yeah,
discussion, but it's
I
not
will
quite
say
that.
that real quick while we're talking about touring. Did you see that like Ozzy came out and was like, I think what he said was something along the lines of, the media really ran with what I said, that I'm not done touring. He's not retiring from touring. He still plans on touring again. So we'll see what happens with
I
that.
just, I think that that press release was put out by Sharon. She doesn't want him to tour anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
She
what she
doesn't think
says
he can do it.
goes.
True, but
She's the one that runs his career.
that doesn't mean when she's not around, he's not saying the exact opposite.
That's true. That is true.
Even in
So,
interviews, because yes, he even after the fact, he's like, I will be out there again.
yeah.
But
Because
I just,
I've never seen him live, so I'd love to see him live. But even though I'm sure from what I've heard, the last like 5, 6 years last several times he's been on tour, his shows have not been great ever since his accident.
Mm.
So
Yeah, well, the last couple Sabbath shows were filmed, and the I've seen footage from them. I've seen a couple songs performed from those videos. It was fine on those,
well,
and
he
he
can
did that.
sing. He's sing, but
He
he
just can't
can't
move around.
move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
yeah, which is problematic if he's not thinking about it. If he gets wrapped up in it and he shouldn't be moving, but then does move, he could really hurt himself.
probably. Yeah,
But but then again, he's in a lot of pain, so who knows?
yeah. The
I hope I just want the best for him. I want him to be around. I want him to make more albums.
yeah,
Even if
because
a
like
couple more albums.
I just picked up patient number 9. You can see
Yeah,
it.
I've got it on vinyl. It's one of the few albums it was actually the first album that I decided I was going to buy the CD and the vinyl at the same
Yeah,
time, which I did. So, uh,
but yeah. So I thought it was kind of funny that he came out and he's like, "Oh no, 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 no! I'm not done. It just I'm like taking a
he's
break to try to heal myself to
he's
get
done.
back out there." I
He's done.
We'll see, we'll see.
Well,
I
we'll see. Well, he doesn't want to be done. That's very apparent, and it's very respectable. But
Yeah,
I just don't think he's going to make it out there again. Doesn't mean he can't do like you said in the past, local shows,
or like one-off shows where you
one-off
fly
shows.
out to wherever, Denver, and do a show or something like that. But
Right. Well, is he in England now? Is he back in England?
probably,
Yeah, I mean,
I think they did.
he can do shows in England.
Yeah,
They got some big stadiums there. Well, music venues there. You got
yeah.
Wembley and all that. He can do those.
But I would
Um,
assume that they would come here to the States to do shows.
well, that's where the money would really be. But
Yeah,
you know,
because
but
you
he
get
can
bigger
do
venues
online
here.
stuff
But
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
definitely
they
bigger
don't,
venues.
they won't do that. So I did a whole video. It actually got a lot of traction. I don't know, probably like several months back. I did a whole episode about the 50th anniversary box set of Pink
Dark Side of
Floyd's
the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon,
Yep.
because it's ridiculous. They're basically re-releasing the Immersion box set, which came out, I don't know what it was, 2015 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically just releasing a repackaged version of that for $300, and I thought it was like fucking absurd that they're even charging that much for it.
Absolutely.
So guess what I did today, Ian?
You bought the immersion or the 50th anniversary box set.
I bought the 50th anniversary box set. So, because during the whole like video, I did. And of course the video is not on this channel; it's on the Vinyl Den. If you want to go check that out. But I was talking like in that video, I even said, "Look, this is not a $300 box set. It should be the price I felt it should be around is $200. I thought $200 for what's included in there. There is some new audio mixes in there. It's a new remastered album. It does come with a CD. It comes with the Blu-ray audio. I think it's got like an Atmos mix or something like that comes with it. Comes really nice with a really nice 160-page book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with it in new packaging also. The packaging looks really cool on it. So I felt like $200 was a good price for that album.
Mm-hmm.
So I just happened to get online today, and I'm not a fan of Merch Bar. Their website is not the greatest. When the pre-orders I've gotten from them before, they're normally like 2 or 3 weeks after the release, they'll finally send it to you. And a couple of times I've had to email them like, "Hey, what the hell is going on with this order?" for them to ship it. But they had it on their website for $220. So I was like, man, I wanted to pay $200 for it,
Right.
but am I really going to bitch about $20? So I was like, I think it was
I would.
$223 is what it was.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
would.
going to though. I'm fine with it.
Well, I
So I was
mean,
like,
I
look,
would
I'll
if there hadn't been that original packaging, if this was like the deluxe, the essential, none of this is all this is brand new for an album that I love. Yeah, I could see $250 for it. But if it's only partially new, and most of it you already have it.
Yeah.
There's no way, there's no album out there that would be worth that to me for that.
Let me put it to you this way: if Jethro Tull reissued, um, any other whatever Rooster Branches, let's say, and it was $200, you're like, oh well, it's the packaging is too much. I'll pay $200 for it, and then you found it for $220. Would you buy it, or would you go, oh no, it's
It
$20
depends on
more?
what
It's $20 more than I wanted to pay for it.
it depends on what came with it. But that's also, I'm pointing out that that's something that I don't have and would cost just as much for a beat up used copy
Yeah,
right now. So yes, I would pay $225, $230 for it brand new, especially depending on what comes with it. But if it was just the record, it wouldn't be worth $200 brand new. And a reissue,
but
it wouldn't.
that's what I'm saying though. Is if you found it, like if they were putting it out and it was $220, would you be like, oh no, I only wanted to pay 20. I only want to pay $200 for it.
I would.
That's what I'm saying though.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like Dark Side of the Moon is my favorite album. I mean,
But I wouldn't
I've
if
got
I
9
had.
fucking copies of it already,
I,
but
that's
still,
that's what I was gonna say. If I had Roots to Branches and I had a good copy of it, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. There's no way. I would not pay $200 for an album I already had, even as
yeah,
much one that I love as much as Roots to Branches because it's in my top 5 top Jethro Tull
yeah.
albums. No, I wouldn't. If I already had it, no, I wouldn't do it.
Well, that's no. You're kind of missing what I'm saying though. Is like my whole point of that was, would you stop? Would you not buy something if it was $20 more than what you wanted to pay for it? Because like I
Okay.
said,
Okay. Then a
if it was
better
priced at $200, I would have pre-ordered it, months
right.
ago.
So I guess the argument then you could make if you're to scale, if they were reissuing it and they're reissuing it at $75 for just the double album because it would have to be a double album. Me personally, I would go say that that's probably only worth 50. So 70, 20 more dollars. Yes, I would pay that 20 more
Yeah,
dollars for reissue. So
yeah,
yes, to put it in perspective, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, no. Now that being said, if there was say a box set that came that they were doing, and it was say uh, Jethro Tull / Ian Anderson, the Fuel 2000 years, which would encompass uh, .com, Secret Language of Birds, and Rupees Dance. It'd be 3 albums.
Yeah.
And they wanted $500 for that.
You'd
I
buy
would
it.
say that's. I would say it's too much. And to be honest with you,
Bullshit.
I probably would buy it. I
You
probably
would
would
buy
buy it.
it.
But that's one
I
of
know you
but
would.
that's the equivalent. I knew you were going to buy that Dark Side of the Moon. I knew it. I
Whenever,
told you
whenever,
I knew you were
whenever
going
I
to end up
found it
buying
for
it.
a good price, yeah.
Right.
It's the same
So
thing with like the Motley Crue box set that just came out. I was
yeah.
pissed because I just bought all the fucking remasters that they released last year. I'd
Right.
love to have that new box set. I'm not gonna pay $175 for it though.
No, for what you already have.
If I can get it for 100, 110, 115, I'll probably pick it
But
up.
you already have them. I mean, that's
So
what I mean. That's what I'm saying. You already have them.
so I don't fucking care. Like, what's
If
wrong
I
with
already
having
had
another one?
.com Secret Language of Birds and Rupees Dance,
But
I wouldn't pay $500
Ian,
for
I've
a
got
box
lots
set.
of albums. I've got lots of albums I own
I
multiple
know,
copies
but
of.
I don't need multiple copies of stuff.
Yeah,
So no matter how
I
special it
like
is,
having the colored versions, especially those because I don't have colored versions of those albums. So
yeah,
and
well,
the color look the splatter looks really cool on them.
it does. It does. Now, I would consider that if okay, so the box set is it's got bells and whistles. It's got colored vinyl, splatter, marble, whatever. Comes with the books and little sticker, all the like this said bells and whistles. And I already had them, and it was $500. I would consider it, but I would sell my used copies. I would sell the copies I have because I don't need multiple copies of that.
Yeah,
So
I like having
that would
multiple
offset the
copies.
cost. That would offset the cost.
Like I said, man, I've got what 9 copies of the Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl. I
I
think
know
I've
you do.
got I think I've got 4 copies of it on CD also. So
All right. So really, you've got
whatever,
13 copies of it
whatever. But the
because
vinyl,
I count CDs. So when I guess I should qualify that then. I count CDs as copies. 2 is all you need. CD
Nah.
and vinyl. That's all I need.
But like with the Dark Side of
You
the
can do
Moon,
your
though,
thing. It's your money, but
there's a big difference between a lot of those pressings on vinyl, though. Like
true,
some of those
true.
pressings, like I've got an original U.S. pressing, which I wanted to have I just wanted to have an original copy of it.
Right.
It's not the best sounding album. It's got some wear to it. I wanted to have the MoFi version of it too. It came out in '79. There was a '79 and there was an '81 version. I got the '79 version, the first pressing of it. That's actually pretty beat up, and I paid quite a bit of money for it, just because it's not something you come across very often. But that version of it, I wanted to have in my collection. The best sounding version of it, to be honest, is probably the 30th anniversary release of it. Which the
Right.
30th anniversary, I've got 2 copies of it because the first copy I bought didn't come with the front cover of it, because there's like a front cover insert that's supposed to go in it. So I bought a second copy, but I bought both of those before the prices like went astronomical. Like those now you probably can't get a copy of the 30th anniversary for under $200.
Right.
And I paid way under $100 for both of those. So
Yeah. No, you get good deals on your shit. And I understand that. And it's your money.
what
You
I'm
do what
saying
you
though is
want. I'm just saying as
I don't have 9 copies of the same album. Is what I'm saying though. It's like I've got different sounding versions of those albums. That's how I justify it.
Well, I mean, whatever works in your head. Because all I need
Whatever.
is
Hey man,
successful.
fine. To be honest, I've got the money, so I'll just spend it.
No, that's fair. That's completely fair. It's it's your money. It's your hobby. You do it however you want. I
Now,
just
but
don't do it that way.
along those same lines, I will say that. So, you know who Vinyl Me Please is? They're a big like record club,
Yeah.
and I don't know what country they're out of. I'm not sure. I think they're over in Europe somewhere. I think I'm not 100% sure though. But they're releasing the anniversary release of Pearl Jam's Yield. It's what, the 25th anniversary.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that posted.
So, and this is something that I like Yield. I think Yield is a really good album.
I do too.
But I've got a copy of it, and I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. They're probably my 4th favorite band. Huge
They're
fan.
my top 10.
I've got all their albums.
Mm-hmm.
I have a copy of Yield. This thing is $60 fucking dollars.
And
And
it's red.
I refuse to pay for it because there's nothing additional on it. It's just the same album. Now, granted, I think that every version of this album previously has been a 1 LP release. It's now spread out over 2 LPs, so it probably will sound a little bit better.
Right.
I can't drop $60 on it. I refuse to drop $60 fucking dollars on it.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with
because it's like I said, it's not verses. It's not 10. Even though if it was 10, I probably would. To be honest, even though I've already got I think 3 copies or 2 copies. I think I got 3. I got 3 copies of 10. I would probably drop $50 or $60 on a really nice anniversary release of 10 if they were ever to do it, but not for Yield. Especially since in the Facebook group within the last couple weeks, I broke down the price of how much a record costs to be made in 2023.
Yeah.
And people are like jumping through hoops to fucking justify price.
I was gonna say, Nick, you did not take into account very rich people getting more money.
That was the thing that fucking like there was one comment, and I don't want to bash anyone for saying or speaking their mind, but and I threw it out there to have a conversation about it. But someone even made the comment, were like, well, you got to factor in the price of their new pressing plant. Like, no, that doesn't factor in. That's something like that's an investment that Vinyl Me Please makes over a 5 to 10 year plan is how long you plan on paying that off. You don't pay that off with one album.
Technically, Vinyl Me Please isn't paying for that record plant. The bank is.
well, Vinyl Me Please is, because they built a plant, so they've got to pay it back.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's a loan, but the bank owns. It's just like your car
Yeah,
or your
yeah,
house.
yeah. But
You
it's not
own it,
something you
but
pay
it's
back
bank owned.
right now. Like,
Right,
you don't make that
right,
off the release. And
right.
like I said, people were jumping through hoops, to try to justify $60. Because the way I broke it down, I used all the pricing off of. Granted, this is all from Third Man Records. Other places, could, or I'm sure do charge different, but it's probably not that big of a difference. And of course,
Mhm.
there is some other fees that are involved in there.
Right,
But with the way I broke it down, is a double album is going to cost you about $12.40 to produce.
right. I know you told me about it, and I did the math too, and you know, it worked out where it like I think we came to the agreement. A
It's
single
like what, a
disc,
four or
30
five
bucks.
hundred%
Yeah,
markup.
a single disc should be about $30, and a double disc should be about $40. That's the extent. If there's bells and whistles and it's a limited release, you could maybe push it up to about
Yeah,
50, 45, 50. But 29.99. I'm sorry, yeah, 29.99, 39.99. That's it.
yeah,
That should be the standard cost for
yeah.
all
And
records.
I will say that a lot of releases still are around there,
Right, right.
but
When we
you're
got
starting to
started
see
into
more
the
and more single LP releases be 35, 36,
right,
$38.
which is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
When you and I got really well, I mean, even before you, but I mean, yeah, when we got back into collecting records, single LPs were like 20 bucks, 25
yeah.
bucks
I
per
picked up a
can.
lot for like 20, between 20
Right.
and $23. I picked a lot of
And
stuff
they
up.
started creeping up to about 30, and that's fine. But the double LPs, they kind of went from being like 30 back then, 29.99, and jumped right up to like 40. And now they're in the almost in the 50 range. And
Yeah,
65 for a special release like this is just I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. All it's going to do is it's going to destroy the hobby, in my opinion.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
going to
because it
price
will.
itself
Because,
out.
but really, that's the same thing that happened to CDs in the late '90s, really
Right,
kind of like the late '90s, very early part of the 2000s, when like CDs all of a sudden were like you want to go buy a new CD, it was like 16, 18 fucking bucks for a
right,
new CD. People were like, well, at that price, I'm just
right.
gonna download the fucking thing.
Well, because the thing is that at that point, places like Best Buy had already put all the little record stores out of business by because when Best Buy first started doing CDs, and they had a great selection,
Yeah,
$10. Every CD was always $10.
yeah,
You know, so that like I said, it put a lot of shops out of business, and then they started raising the prices um, to make up for it. But yeah, no, you're right. Now
yeah.
sixteen
Because
ninety
at
nine
that
for a
point
CD, it's like,
really
oh, I'll
there
take
was no
that.
competition really.
Right. So now 16.99 for a CD is like, ooh, that's a good price.
Yeah, it's not terrible for sure. They
Especially
I
when
mean,
you compare it to vinyl records.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I was trying to find this last comment. There was someone else said, uh, yeah, the one guy said, "Did you factor in the cost to build a plant?" And I'm like, it doesn't.
Right.
I think we were when the night I posted this, we were texting back and forth, and you even said like every step in the supply chain should be like a 25 or 30% markup.
Right.
There's not 10
50% at
fucking
the
steps
high end.
there.
If you've got a good corner in the market, you can justify a 50% markup at each level. But vinyl isn't like that. There's enough competition out there.
Yeah.
25% at each step.
And there's another comment that someone said, "What about the high cost to record the album? Do you just forget about that?" I'm like, but
You can't
that
apply
doesn't
that to yield. That
that doesn't
album was
factor into the
recorded
vinyl. Like
right. That album was recorded years ago.
2 years ago. Now, if something's being released on vinyl now, it was at least a year ago it was recorded, if
Right.
not
And
earlier, probably a year and a half ago, because it's got to get mixed and everything else.
yield is what, 25 years old?
Yeah,
The cost of recording it has been paid for long
long
ago.
ago,
Pearl
long
Jam got
ago.
all their money for doing it. The recording studio got all their money for doing it. It's
Yeah,
that's already been paid off.
yeah.
Pearl Jam's
And
still gonna get money for it, but
I
you know
don't
what I
know
mean.
how recording contracts go now, but back in the 90s, early part of the 2000s at least, if you were recording an album, the band really paid for that up front.
Right. In the
The
90s,
record the record
yeah.
label pays for it, and then they give the band X amount of dollars, and then over the next 2 years or whatever it is, the band basically makes no money because all that goes back to the label to repay for
Right.
repay for the recording and all that stuff.
Right.
So the
Except
band's
for
already paid for all that.
performance.
Yeah,
The band has always made their money on performance, but it was also they were making that money because the performances were promotion for the records.
for the record, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, back in the '60s and '70s, and probably even in the early '80s, labels paid for all the recording costs. Um,
Well, the band did. The recording company paid for it up front,
well,
and then
right.
the band paid it all back
Basically, yeah, the record labels paid for the recording, but they took that share out of whatever is going to come to the band.
to the band. Yeah,
As part of their investment in that.
yeah,
Nowadays, though, I mean, especially established artists, this wouldn't apply to like new artists, but most artists have recording studios in their house,
yeah.
and it doesn't cost what it used to cost. You can set up a recording studio for half of the cost of what you could.
I could
More
record
than half.
great sounding. I could record great sounding
Right.
stuff in my basement
Right.
with
Exactly.
the equipment
You
I
know,
have.
10 grand, you could set up a brand new fancy studio that we could record a Taylor Swift album.
Yeah.
And if you
Well, look at artists like Billie Eilish, who has recorded her albums in the closet in her fucking house.
right, so you can do that now, and most people have their own setups at home.
Yeah,
So any cost, and it's all digital. You're not paying for tape. You're not paying for anything. It's already paid for to a degree.
yeah,
The recording costs are very low nowadays. I mean, it's not
yeah,
free, but it's still very low.
yeah.
Um,
Compared to what they once were.
compared to what, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, bands could. There's I don't have any titles off the top of my head, but I've heard stories of albums that the production of those albums like went astronomically out of budget,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and because they would,
Well,
50 takes
look
and
at
just throwing tape away and everything.
yeah. I don't remember what Queen album it was. Night at the Races or Night at the Opera. That's what it was. They like
At least if
rented.
it's one in the movie.
Yeah, they rented like a house out in, like the mountains in France to record this fucking
Right.
album at. And
Yeah. Which was a
there's a
common
lot.
thing back in the '70s for artists
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. There's that was that's a big financial hit right there. To spend like a month or two at this house where you're setting up your recording studio, like through rooms and all sorts of stuff, just to record your album.
Right. So, nowadays, yes, there's some cost, but it's minimal
Yeah,
by comparison to what it used to be.
yeah,
And in a day and age when everything is more expensive than it used to be, something that's a lot less expensive than it used to be, you know, it offsets some of that extra
yeah,
cost that you have to put into
yeah.
other things.
I just always kind of laugh.
Manufacturing isn't even cost as much as it used to.
Yeah.
Vinyl manufacturing does because there's just so few places, but that's a supply and demand situation.
I would say there's not that few places. There are, the reason it takes so long to press a record is because labels have specific pressing plants that they use. And a lot of them use 90% of all records come from the same like 6 plants or 8 plants spread out across the world because labels use specific plants.
Right.
But I can get something pressed at third man. The turnaround time is less than 6 months probably. You get something like that.
Right.
I've seen websites, pressing plants online advertise 2 or 3 month turnarounds for a pressing. Now, granted, I don't know if you're paying extra to get that done faster, but it's an option. It is available.
Right.
There are pressing plants out there, and just a vast majority of them, of the labels out there use all the same plants, so they get backed up easier.
Right.
Yeah, I just so yeah, it's just funny that I always see, especially over the last year, people are like, vinyl sucks because of inflation. Like, nah, not so much. It's
No.
more about the greed of labels and bands. Look at Greta Van Fleet. You
Well,
know, as much as I
oil
love,
oil prices would play into that a little bit because of the vinyl, because there's oil
but
cost
look
in
at
it.
the price of pressing a record has not changed a whole lot over the last 2 years.
Right.
You know, and when you're talking about when you're pressing, 3 or 5 or even 10,000 copies of an album, the increase is spread out over all those. You figure like a bulk of the price to press an album is not in the pressing of the album. It's in the lacquer, it's in the plating, it's in the setup of it, it's
Right.
in the mastering of the album, for vinyl. It's the setup of that to get it pressed. The actual pressing of the album is pretty cheap. The So when I was like going through pricing, it was, I want to say the average price was like $4 or $5 a record to press it. Like the actual
Right.
pressing of the record is like four or
Hmm.
$5 of the, you know, of that cost. So
Hmm.
I don't know. But when I see people blame it on inflation, I'm like, no, it's not really inflation. Uh, Inflation has something to do. I would say inflation probably has, 8, maybe 10% to do with the price of it. But when you're seeing things go from, you know, I've seen $10 to $15 price increases over the last year and a half on vinyl. That's
Or more.
that's like a 30, 35, 40% markup sometimes on
Right. Right.
records, which is a lot more than that 8 to 10% increase.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I understand that increases in manufacturing is going to get price increases is going to get pushed off to the buyer. That's how everything works. The company's not going to take that hit. I mean, some companies do take a little bit of a hit to stay competitive or to be a little bit more competitive than their competitors in a certain market. But when it comes to music and things like that, that's always going to get pushed off to the person buying it.
Agreed.
Um,
Agreed. Were we going to talk about our topic?
We are, but there was a couple more things I wanted to talk about. So maybe we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see if we get to our topic with
Okay.
that.
We can always do
Uh,
it another time.
so that's true. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about. I don't remember if it was. I don't remember if it was on an episode of the Vinyl Den or if it was on here, or it might have just been just off camera talking about AI. Oh, I think it was on here because we were messing around with Chat
Chat
GPT,
GPT. Yeah.
and we were talking about AI created music. There is two AI created Nirvana songs out there.
Really?
And like
Are they any good though?
they aren't bad. It's
Really?
not bad.
Hmm.
It's not bad. But I mean, it's like I'm not sure. I don't know how I really feel about it. I love music. I love great music. So I mean, like, I guess it doesn't matter if it's like really Kurt Cobain singing it or whoever singing it or a AI created a
I mean,
vocal
yeah, good.
performance.
If it's a good song, it's a good song. It really
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean, it's
matter.
not like it sounds like a fucking Nirvana song.
Hmm.
It's really awesome. I'll try to send you the links to them so you can check it
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's something I like because I know there's more of that out there. I haven't because I remember there was a podcast or YouTube video or something I watched about it within the last probably 6 or 8 months where they were talking about I think there's a couple of Elvis AI created songs that are out there also, or some other musicians, dead musicians that have AI created tracks. So,
Right.
but like I said, I just don't know how I really feel about it. Would I buy an
A
album?
Nirvana album that is brand new that is AI created.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I don't know. I
To be
mean,
honest, I probably would.
if you take, I don't know if I'd buy it. I'd listen to it if it's on Spotify or something. But take the AI out of the equation with all the technology advancements they've had in like deep fake, and not just video deep fake, but like vocal deep fake.
Yeah.
Um, think about this: having anybody say Jimmy Page wanted to make a new Led Zeppelin album, but Robert Plant didn't want to do it. But he
Yeah.
said it was okay if you used a voice alike. and they have the deep fake technology where it could just sound exactly like Robert Plant.
Yeah.
That would be, I mean, is it? I guess it's not exactly the same thing, but you're still getting an artificial version of what is
Yeah.
being presented. You know,
But the
your
funny
Led
thing is,
Zeppelin, your
like,
Nirvana, it's artificial,
yeah,
but I don't know.
I was, it was really kind of weird to me because I don't like cover bands. Like, I do not like cover bands. I will not
That
see
cover
a cover
bands,
band. There's a
a
really
lot of
great,
cover songs I like, but
yeah, there's a really great Pink Floyd cover band. There's actually two of them. Really great
mm,
cover band to do, all the
they're the
great
ones that
Pink
do the
Floyd
light
tracks.
shows. They were doing the used to do the light shows.
No, that's Laser Floyd. That's different. But
Oh, okay.
there's the Australian Pink Floyd, and then there's Brit Floyd, are the two like big cover bands, and they tour all over the world and do shows. And I hear it's fantastic, but it's not
It's
Pink
not the
Floyd.
same. Exactly, it's not the
And
same.
that's how I felt like the entire time when I was in a band back in high school. We didn't play cover songs.
Right.
We did one cover song. Uh we played, I don't remember what that one Green Day song was. Yeah, I don't know why I can't think off the top of my head, but there was one Green Day song we played. Uh
Mm.
and all the rest of the stuff we did was all our own original music. Like
Right.
I and I'm not knocking anyone that's in a cover band. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do love cover bands. There's actually a really popular cover band here in southeastern Michigan that does all the great 80s hair metal stuff.
Mm.
Sunset Boulevard, I think, is the name of the band. But so there's a lot of people who love that stuff. Just for me personally, I am not a fan of it. I've always said I would rather just either watch YouTube videos of the actual band performing the stuff or just listen to the real music than to see somebody else pretending to be them performing it live. But I went from that to listening to these two Nirvana songs, and I was like, wow, that's actually not that bad. I could see myself buying an album like this. So it was really
Right.
kind of weird to me.
So there's a couple of things to unpack there. Not unpack, but to acknowledge. So we're thinking about this in terms of like you were saying, like cover bands. It's not the same. 3 generations from now, it won't even fucking matter.
Yeah.
The other thing is that from another perspective for us, I don't. It's the AI program can they can make it so that it can say all the right words, write all the right words, put all the right notes in, make it sound exactly like this group or that or whatever.
Yeah.
But the human aspect is gone.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that, at least for those of us alive now, our ears are going to notice it. The more they do it, the more it's going to sound soulless.
I
I,
don't
I,
know.
I just I just feel
I feel like it's actually the opposite. I feel like the more they do this, I think the better it's going to get. Like
that's
it's
scary because then why pay anybody to do anything? I mean, you can if you can get if seriously if you can type it into a computer and pay one guy to put all the information into a computer and it spits out a multi-platinum album, what are we needed for anymore?
I guess you can kind of make that same argument for streaming versus like physical music though too. It's like why pay why pay all that money for the CD I'm holding in my hand
Right,
when I already have it on my phone. Why
right.
you know,
Well, true, but but the product hasn't changed. It's just
yeah,
the way the delivery system of the product. Whereas
yeah,
we're talking about a completely new set of rules for products.
yeah.
Um, and then what happens there? If you want to do live performances, do you hire a cover band to go and play the AI music?
No, no. So who was it? It was I think it was Elvis not too long ago, within the last several years. It might have been quite a few years ago now, actually, now that I think about it. But Elvis toured or was
Oh, the
doing
hologram?
shows. So it was his original backing band, like Elvis's real band that played with Elvis in the 70s, were playing on stage, and they had a hologram of Elvis singing.
But it was recorded singing.
Yes,
It wasn't live.
correct.
It's not live.
But you're seeing
It's
the
not the
band live, like
same.
the band behind him is playing live.
Right, but he's not singing live. Remember
Yeah.
when that used to be a game changer or a deal breaker for an artist?
That was kind of the other thing I was going to get into is the whole thing, because there's been all this uproar over the last several months about bands using backing tracks
Right.
on
Backing
tour.
tracks are one thing, as long as you're singing with it. That's how I
Yes.
feel about
But
it.
there's
If
a
you're
lot of people
singing
out there,
with
there's a
it,
lot of people that are
not
the
singing with
complete
it.
opposite, that they absolutely hate backing tracks. They think no one should use a backing track. They think it's all lip syncing. And it's
No,
not.
no,
It's ensuring, the way I look at it is it's ensuring that they are putting on a quality show for the fans.
right.
You know,
As long
because
as they're
look,
singing with it, I have no
yeah,
problem with it, none
or
whatsoever.
they're singing over it normally.
Over it, right. Because
Yeah,
usually it's there not so much to do the heavy lifting. It's there to do like multi parts and have a
yeah,
little bit extra depth and stuff.
yeah.
It's not really there to be
Plus,
the draw.
if you're there watching, let's say, an older band that has a charismatic or formerly charismatic frontman that used to love to run around on stage, and is now like older and can't really
And
do that,
fat.
and fat and out of shape. Do you really want to hear him like huffing and puffing like while he's trying to sing?
I
No,
just
that's why
I
he
just
has a
picture
backing track.
right. I just picture Vince Neil like trying, like running, and then he's like, kickstart my
That's about what it
heart.
is. That's about
Yeah,
what
I
it
know.
is.
I saw him in 2014. He was better then, but he's still slowing
Yeah,
down.
so I don't have a problem with artists using backing tracks. Like the same thing was like, you go to any big sporting event, like the Super Bowl, you know, all the vocals for those performances are all pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they don't
I have a
they
little bit more of a problem with that, but if for a single performance, something like that in such a big scale,
yeah,
I'm less likely to complain about it.
yeah,
And it is, I'm hoping that they just recorded it, did no touch ups, just this is us singing live, and then we're gonna play
yeah,
that those live vocals after the fact.
yeah.
So I
But
mean,
like along, but with recorded with uh touch ups though, like that's the whole funny thing about Van Halen releasing Right Here Right Now for Record Store Day is, first off, it's a terribly I've never liked the album. Not a huge
it was okay.
I'm
For me,
not
it
a
was one
huge
of the
Van
better
Hagar
live
fan,
albums.
but like in Sammy Hagar's autobiography, he wrote a whole thing about how that whole live album was re-recorded in the studio. It's not a
Mm.
live album. It's not a live. It's a fake
It
live
sounded
album
live enough to me because it didn't, to me
because
it
they
had
because they
there
went
was
in the
issues with
studio and corrected they re-recorded the guitars, re-recorded the drums. Yeah, all the crowd noise and all that's real.
no, I mean even the performances sounded different than the studio version, and in some cases not as good as the studio version.
Well, yeah, but like I'm
So that
talking
was
like
my
after
problem.
the fact. After the fact, the band went in the studio and re-recorded their parts for that live album.
Uh,
But I'm also not a big Van Hagar fan either. So
yeah. See, I am. I like the Van Hagar era. Although the more I think about it, there's there's one album that I completely don't like. The more I listen to it,
yeah,
um, and that's OU812. So,
yeah.
but there's David Lee
I
Roth.
thought Balance was a good album.
Balance is a good album. For an Awful Knowledge is a good album. 5150 is a good album.
Yeah.
So I guess three out of the four.
Why don't people just call it fuck? The name of the album is fuck.
Because the album cover says for
I
unlawful
know
carnal
that.
knowledge.
I know that.
So that's
But
why I call it that. Otherwise, I would if it just said fuck. It's there's the band Marillion. They released an album, and it was shit. Let me look it up because it's clever. Similar type of title.
I think I know what you're talking about because when I was just looking, uh, when we were talking about them earlier, I brought up their discography.
Yeah, I got it right here. The album was called Fear, but it stands for Fuck Everyone and Run.
Oh,
because it was like FEAR, but yeah, and everyone just
gotcha.
calls it Fear. But I just thought that was kind of
Yeah,
clever, different play on it.
yeah. I think there's been a lot
And
of stuff
I don't
like
know how
that
I
though
feel
over
about
the
the
years.
music on it. I have mixed feelings about the songs on it.
Yeah, but yeah, as far as like when it comes to AI music, I'm at least
Um,
intrigued enough to check it out because, like I
to
said,
me, I think
the Nirvana stuff I thought was decent.
yeah,
It
to
wasn't
me,
like I wasn't like
uh,
blown away by it at all.
yeah. No, I wouldn't imagine you would be. It's robotic to a degree, at least in terms of where it comes from. But
Yeah,
I think that with AI, there's a lot of potential for it to be something very special.
yeah.
But I think it should remain a novelty when it comes to anything having to do with artistic expression. I think
Uh,
that still needs to remain human. That's all. Just
I get
human.
that. I
Doesn't
get
have to
that.
be good or bad. Just has to remain human.
I will say
As a
the I think
novelty,
it's
fine, but you know,
I think it was the second Nirvana song I listened to. It definitely had that like it was missing this that soul of the
right?
track, which I
Exactly.
felt like the first one was a little closer to what I would imagine the band would be playing that song, but definitely the second one definitely had that like soulless kind of vibe to it. But
Yeah.
it's still I thought it was still a
Yeah.
pretty decent song for being fake. It's
Right.
you
Because
know
quite honestly, if AI starts to figure out or starts to develop feelings, soulfulness,
that's when the
um,
it takes over the universe, right?
no, because feelings and soulfulness will cause it to be self-destructive. Because that's
Yeah,
what humans.
yeah,
That's where our self-destructiveness comes from. Um, and that's dangerous because it's conflicted. What we don't want it to be is logical and
yeah.
smart, because then there's no need for humans anymore.
Skynet.
But right, Skynet, yeah. If it develops the ability to have feelings, humanity will be okay, but it will destroy itself
Yeah,
because it won't be able to
but
function.
but to be honest, like I'd love to hear some new Jimi Hendrix music.
I know. I mean, but as a novelty,
Yeah,
not like,
not like this is Jimi Hendrix.
right, Um, I would love to have a Jethro Tull album with Ian Anderson's old vocals where he wrote the
Yeah,
music, but have a computer generated 21-year-old Ian Anderson singing it.
yeah,
You know, I would love to have that too. But
yeah.
you know, is it the same then? Is it really that anymore? I don't know. I guess these are the philosophical questions future generations will have to decide, or they'll look back at us to see how we talked about it, I guess.
Yeah. Hey,
Because
guess
there
what,
is, I
Ian?
mean,
Oh, go ahead.
this
Finish your
episode's
statement.
super long. I was going to say, because one thing I would say about modern humans is that we've lost the ability to think philosophically,
I can see
and
that.
maybe this is the next philosophical, you know, thing for us to decide or talk about at least.
I was going to say that we have made it through an entire episode and didn't talk about our topic. So we'll save our
We're
topic.
back.
We'll save a time. I was writing down shit before we started recording about all the other crap I want to talk about. So I knew it
Yeah,
was definitely a chance that we would not get to our topic. But we'll save
fair.
our topic for next week. How about that?
Okay, doke. Sounds good.
But any questions or comments, you can email us at entnowpod@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. Give us the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below. All that stuff you're supposed to do on there. Leave us a review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere else that you get your podcasts from.
Yeah.
And that's
If you
about
like
it.
us, give us if you like us, give us 1 star. If you hate us, give us 5.
And now we have a bunch of 5-star reviews.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the